But first, I'm going to show you guys an example. So we did that writing to MSF admin and made text show on the other person's computer. Kind of fun, but now let's take you into a step of all the type of things you can do. So I'm going to show you a little demo that I give to some corporate clients about Armitage's Big Brother Cobalt Strike. So this is the professional one. It costs about $2,500, but it's designed for much more sophisticated type of attacks and exploitation. But I want you to get an idea of what type of things are possible. So I'm going to talk you through this. I'll go a little fast, but I'm going to show you some simple hacking ideas here. So first, I showed people how to scan for targets. We just did this. So I do a quick scan, and like I said, it's a little hard to read it, but I'm picking a network, and I'm doing that 0/24, and found some guys. Now, these computers, I'm going to do another scan, different one. This isn't the MSF, but I'm going to do a little bit quicker and do what we call operating system fingerprinting. So what do I have on the network? Well, I have an iPhone and a Windows machine. So, and each one of those, I'm going to go look for attacks that I can use against them. So once again, I'm querying through a bunch of stuff and finding attacks. Once again, this should look pretty familiar to what we were just doing. And I'll do it again on the Windows box. Already got them both, sorry. And just showing I have different attacks. Here's an exploit that I'm going to use against a Windows XP machine. And I'm going to type something in, and I'm going to throw it. And in just a moment, it's going to give me one. I'm only using one attack here. Instead of throwing everything, I picked one that I wanted to use. Now I own this Windows box. Now I'm going to go into a payload called Interpreter and start doing things. First thing I'm doing here, I'm dumping password hashes. These are the encrypted versions of user passwords. I'll throw these into a server that I keep, and I'll have those in about 5 minutes. And I'll know what all those usernames, what those passwords really are. Then I can log in. But also, don't really need to worry about that because I'm in already. There's a screenshot of the computer in real time. So I'm logging in. Here, I'm entering a text editor. Or a keylogger, I should say. So I started something back on my Kali box, and I'm watching what the user's typing. So let's say they type mail.google, they do their username and password. Over here, all of that was spelled out, so I saw that username and password one. I can get your email password. Odds are that's your online banking password, that's your Amazon password, your iTunes password. Great for me. In the next 5 minutes, I'm going to charge up 10 grand worth of stuff and get it delivered before your credit card company shuts off your card. Another thing, I'm showing an example here of making a bad website. So this is an idea called spear phishing. So I create a website that's going to automatically break into your computer for me if you go there. I'm going to trick you into going to that website by sending you an email that looks like it's from someone you know and says, hey, go to this link, www.paypal.com or YouTube. But really, it just says that. It's really the bad site that I made. And you don't see much. You say, hey, do you want to write an application? Sure, click yes, right here. Sure, I'll be glad to. Once you did that, I'm in. That's a Windows 7 machine with all the security goodies on. And broken in again, saving all sorts of good stuff, and I just shut them off. And then for corporate users, I showed this because I can make a nice little report that tells me every computer, how I broke in, what I found open, and what I did once I got there. Like those are the password hashes for the accounts that I broke earlier. That's just kind of throwing a lot of stuff at you at once. But once you get an idea, once you get that little red box, you're really wide open to take all sorts of things from the computer. The other one that I don't do that's also really fun for demos, I mentioned earlier, you got a webcam inside your laptop for doing video chat. I actually, if I break into your computer, I can turn that on, and I can sometimes, on certain ones, I can do that without turning on that little light that comes on next to it. And I can just turn on the video and the mic and start watching and listening to you. And grab all sorts of stuff, whatever. It is. But if you want to steal, if you're out there, if I'm organized crime and I want to do corporate espionage and I want to steal your information, And I can get into, and I know that you have these type of machines, so let's say you're the R&D at, we'll just make one up, okay, let's say Hyundai. And I know you got this particular model of computer, and I do something like this. I can listen into your ideas for your next design of car. And I got people that will pay me several $1 million for that, so they don't have to do that research. Because that's a route that some people aren't going to think about, that they've already brought a microphone and a video camera into a room. That's why if you ever have to go to a courthouse, you're not allowed to bring things like cell phones with cameras in them, because they're concerned about someone remotely turning on the microphone in your phone. This is a fantastic spying device. I got 2 cameras. I've got an amazing microphone, and I've got a GPS tracker. Someone who wants to ruin my life, they know exactly where I am within about 3 meters. They know everyone I've been talking to. They can hear everything I've been saying. But, you know, they're cool. But, so that whole post-exploitation, there is a lot of really bad stuff out there. And that's why we want to stop people from being able to get those shells. Because once you have root access to a system, the game's over. All sorts of bad stuff will happen. Which you'll see a lot of times in the corporate realm. When somebody breaks into a network, they'll go around and they'll grab all of the data, then they'll encrypt it and send it off to another location to steal it. So then the best you can know is that somebody broke in and stole stuff from you, but you don't even know what they stole because they encrypted it and you can't break the encryption. Not always. Sometimes a bad guy is stupid and you can find out, but these are real problems, and people have lost millions of dollars to it. Like I mentioned earlier, I'll beat up on the Huawei routers, but they magically seem to have a lot of the exact same problems that Cisco models have, down to the exact software bug. I'm guessing somebody got their hands on the source code. And you're not going to get those guys to a trial at The Hague. And if you don't know what The Hague is, Wikipedia, that's a longer story. So now, let's get to the hard part. We're going to fix the vulnerabilities. So where do we want to start? Well, when I ran the Hail Mary, I got in 7 different ways. Well, 6 ways, like I said, 1 worked twice. So what I want to do now is I want to close each of these holes one by one. And that's what I'm going to step you guys through. So, we're going to start off with exploit number 1 that we're going to close, was this one called PHP ARG CGI injection. Well, why did it work? So our target was running a program called PHP. Essentially, PHP is used to host websites. It's a language for websites similar to HTML, and Metasploitable thinks that one of his many jobs is to host web pages. But he thinks that, but are we even doing that? We might not be. However, we have PHP on there. We have an old version that happened to have a vulnerability that got published a few years ago, saying, hey, if you have version 5.0, anyone can take it over and do bad stuff and break into your computer. So that's bad. So how do I stop it? Normally, if I know that I have an old version of software that has a vulnerability, I would run a software update. In Linux, it'd be this phrase, sudo apt-get install PHP 5. Now, if you remember earlier, I said I never want to put Metasploitable on the internet because it's extremely brittle and it'll break and all sorts of bad stuff will happen. But there's more than one way to fix the problem. Am I running websites off of Metasploitable? I'm not running any websites. Why do I have PHP on there? I'm not using it, so let's remove it. So with your slide, I want you to have your slides open somewhat so you can see the reference. But we're going to log in to Metasploitable. So make sure you've logged in. Once you're in, I'm going to type the command clear, C-L-E-A-R. That's not in the notes, but all that does is just clear the screen so we just see what I'm about to tell you to type. In your notes, you're going to see the following command, dpkg, That stands for Debian package. That's a longer talk. Hyphen hyphen get hyphen selections. Now, there's going to be another character you might not see very often. We call it a pipe. On your return key, you should see a button with a slash and a straight line. You want the straight line. You get that by holding Shift. But you do that pipe and type the phrase grep space php. I know that's a lot. There's a lot of Linux involved here. Unfortunately, I don't have the time to teach you through all of them. But what that command does is say, dpackage get selections is the command for tell me every application on my computer. The pipe that says grep php means tell me everything that's on my computer that has the letters PHP in it, in that order. So what's nice is we can uninstall these programs. And so what you do there is going to be the same command, dpackage, dpkg, and here space -r, and the name of the software. So let me show you what I mean by that. So I'm going to type dpkg space -r, and I look at my list. I see this libapache thing, but it's already deinstalled. So it's off. It's on my computer, but it's been turned off. Next one is php5-cgi. So I type that. php5-cgi. And it says, hey, you need super user privilege. So this is my classic default. Most dangerous command in Unix. You need to put sudo in front of that. So, if everybody can hear me there, I need to be the administrator to do this. So I say sudo, and then I repeat the line. dpackage-r. Where? My handwriting a little bad. Oh, that's an arrow, sorry. So sudo dpkg-r php5-cgi. And it's going to ask for your password. MSF admin. And we just turned that one off. Now, I'll teach you one of the nice things about Linux. Once we get that command formatted right, because it's a real pain typing that stuff the right way. There's a million ways to make a mistake, and I'll find every one of them. Great thing in Linux is if you push the up arrow, the last line that you typed comes back up. And so it's nice because I can look down the list and just change the last word. So CLI was the next one. It's like, now, uh-oh, I can't read what I said. Well, I removed it, but now I can't see anymore. I'll push the up arrow a couple times until I see that one that I had before that showed everything. There's my list. I already see deinstall, deinstall. We turned those off already.
What's the command to play for like the
I know what you're saying. Like show more?
Yeah,
Anything else, though? Then you, if you're in that, you're going to need to do colon and then hit a Q. So, now we're going to remove the common.
Done. Or hold on. Oh, you just spelled it. Oh my God.
And GD, and this last one called MySQL. Now, guys, if you'll bear with me, because I know this is going to be the tough one. I wanted to show you the overall idea. And I do encourage you to try and repeat some of this offline after the class to get through uninstalling all of this. But that is how you uninstall programs. So if I go back to list everything, oh, well, I'm sorry, don't delete something. There we go. Those are all the ones with PHP in there. Deinstall, 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 deinstall. We've turned them off. So now, and the reason I kind of went through this painful example was the exploit took advantage of PHP. If I remove PHP from the computer, it doesn't have a thing to take advantage of, which is a great tactic if you don't, for stuff you don't use. So if you have a computer and you load lots and lots and lots of programs, and there's some that you don't use, get rid of them. They eat up space, they put crap in the back of your machine doing God knows what, and it's more space that someone can use to take advantage of. To close all 6 of these, I'm going to move kind of quickly through some of the patches. Not all of your machines are going to get fully locked down through this because I'm sure we're going to have some things that will get completed. But trying to look at the clock and figure out how much time we've got and how long it'll take to get through it, I think it's best if I kind of at least show you the different approaches. Because what I really want you to understand is the concepts of why this works and the different tactics that you would try. So, we're going to move forward a little bit. So the next exploit I'm going to show you, I'm going out of order, but I'm doing it for a reason. So the next one we've got was the 5th one that worked, which was called dist.cc exec. So why did it work? Well, we're running another program called dist.cc. It's designed to remotely compile computer code. So the idea is I can write programs and over the network, send it to a computer, and have it turn my code into an executable program. Sometimes you want that. Many, many times you don't, because that means anybody in your network is building applications onto your computer. So if you're a hacker, that is a godsend, because I just have to I can send flat text to do anything on the planet, and you're going to build it and run it for me. Well, this CC doesn't care if the program is evil. It cares, is the program formatted the right way? It'll compile it and it'll run it. So what are we going to do? There's a few options. One way to stop it, if you really are in a scenario where you need this piece of software, probably the best thing to do is create a secure tunnel for the traffic so that a computer has to have a special cryptography key to use it. In your notes, I'm giving you a link. I'm telling you now, this is really, 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 really hard. In fact, this is really hard. We're not doing that here. That's going to take me an hour. And I'm going to mess it up. But it is hard. But that's kind of one of the main problems here. If you just want to use software, it's easy. If you want to use software so that nobody else can take advantage of you, that's hard. And that's why there are jobs in this field, and that's why they'll pay good money for you to be the person that figures out how to build these secure tunnels around. How long did it take you to do it the night that you tried it? Yeah, but he
did it in his sleep.
So you say he did it in his sleep, but there's a man that has 20 plus years experience writing all sorts of things. So, Chris, how long would it take me to do this?
You?
Yeah.
He said you.
Well, last time I got in trouble for guessing your age, so I'll say 12 minutes.
Probably hours. So, another option, similar to what we just did with PHP, if I'm not going to use the computer to remotely compile source code, don't have a program that does that on your computer. We can remove it. And so we're going to do a similar thing. I'm just going to show you a different option. So up here, we're going to do sudo dpkg, only this time You see, that's the thing. With these command line programs, there's a lot of stuff that's a lot easier if you have a mouse to just click. But you don't, so you have to have all these little special code words to tell it. So what I'm going to do here is sudo dpackage --, purge name. And I won't do the ditto marks, let's just really write it.
But Charlie, what's the difference between purge and remove?
I'm getting there. Thank you, Gary, for saying that. And I'm going to write the next line after that.
Plans
as
it
well.
in the audience.
I know, I have a plan. So last time, I had you guys remove PHP with the -R. So that turned PHP off. Here, I really hate this command, this program. So I'm typing --purge dist/cc. And now what that's going to do is it's going to turn it off and it's going to delete all the files from the computer so it's not there at all. Because the bad thing about turning it off, if I'm the hacker and I break in another way, I'll turn the easy stuff back on so I'll take advantage of it. So if you don't need it, purging is better than removing. But I wanted to take you guys through both examples because maybe you need to use a function sometimes and you just want to turn it off for a little bit because you're going to be exposed to something, but you know you're going to need it back in a minute. You can turn it off and then turn it back on. But if you know you're not going to use it, we will purge, and it's gone. Now, underneath that line, I wrote the line INIT, init, space 6. That's a fancy way to say reboot. I need to be root. So, the line that I always have to re-add, because I always forget to type it, sudo init 6. We're going to get past all this sudo nonsense in a minute, but I'm doing this just to show you how frustrating it is and to highlight the fact that I make this mistake every time. So, oftentimes in Unix, you type a command, you have to be admin. Sudo, sure, I'll run it because you just told me to as root. That's also why sudo is very dangerous. I personally one time completely bricked my iMac because I stupidly came in and first thing I tried to do was delete the entire hard drive. That wasn't my intent, but that's what I typed. And the computer said, no, you're not allowed to do that. So I said, I'll show you. Sudo, type that same line. Then it went through, and then
Genius.
1 second later I was like, oh, that's not what I thought I typed. By then it's too late. So the init 6, basically after removing this software, it's a good idea a lot of times to reboot, because sometimes stuff is still running around in the background. I'm going to talk about another way to get rid of that in a minute. But one way, after you've, just like a lot of times when you install and uninstall software on your computer, you want to restart it. Like if you ever had to run Windows security updates and it will automatically reboot your computer, it does it that way because sometimes it's really hard to chase back down what you left open. So, but we rebooted. I'll log back in real quick. And this is admin. So that is 2 examples of how to, so that was 2 examples of how to remove software so that so someone can't use it against you. Like I said, it's a fantastic tactic. If you're not using it, don't keep it because someone else might be using it. This next one is going to be the single hardest command that we're going to have to type. I know. Trust me, I hate it more than you guys do. But there's an exploit called Java RMI server. And so our target is running a program called Java. We talked earlier, Java is used to run all sorts of other programs. And it has a remote feature called RMI that can let other things take over. And sometimes it's really not feasible to remove Java. And it's surprisingly hard to remove this feature from Java. So, how else could I stop it? Well, I'm showing you one example of a way to stop it. It's more of a train of thought, but when I talked about the attacks earlier, do you remember I showed you addresses and ports? So we went over to an address and we tried to come in through a particular mailbox. Well, if I know what ports the attacks tend to use, I can close those ports and they won't come in that way. So when I looked at the exploit, its default port was 1099. So if a guy is just throwing the Hail Mary and I want to always stop him, I know that there's a Java attack that comes through this port. I got 65,000 choices for ports, so I'll make sure I'm not using this one, and I'm going to close it. That won't stop me from the greatest hacker on earth, but when you take a level, a 2 on a 1 to 10, and I'm just throwing bricks at the wall, my brick isn't going to go through here anymore. Now to do that, we're going to add a firewall to drop the attack before it starts. This is a command called IP tables. It's painful. I'm sorry.
It's your friend.
Huh?
It's your friend, though.
It is your friend. But first, I'm going to teach you 2 commands because I'm personally sick of typing sudo every time I have to enter a line of code. So I'm going to write down the 2 commands that I'm going to use here. So the first one is going to be sudo su. That's going to have me switch users to the root account. Root is the highest level admin you can have on a Linux box. So and then I'm going to take a moment and be quiet to write this properly because I always struggle with it. IV tables dash capital A space input space dash little I space dash ETH0 space dash P space TCP space dash dash D port, that's DPORT, space 1099, there's the port we're closing, dash little m, space state, space new, comma, established, in caps, space, little j, drop. I'm trying. Essentially, that's the command to. We have a volunteer. Gary, I'd like you to summarize that.
I'll be happy to. So in IP tables, you have input. You have input and output rules. So this says IP tables add a new input rule. On the interface ETH0, which is what you use it to connect to your network. Dash P is for the protocol, TCP. Dash D port is destination port on your system of 1099. And then okay.
He'll come back to
I
that.
think I think this just means state as new and established. So as far as the connection that's in place, this
That's
is
what I
going to be
thought.
applied for new
There's no
new
hyphen in front of
connections and
ETH0.
established connections. So anything here, the action you're going to take is called drop. So anything that comes into port 1099 that is either new or currently running connection to the system, it'll just kill it and won't do anything with it at all. It won't feed it onto the service even if the service is running.
Now that said, I could come in with a different protocol to the same port, and we'll answer some questions. I'm just taking a moment to make sure I type this right.
Yeah, Charlie, I think you're missing I love that you had that at your.
State,
Yeah.
state twice, but you were down there once.
Right.
Ah, thank you,
So after state, you
You're
need
like, wait, let me
a
explain
dash
it.
dash state.
thank you.
Oh, no, I was prepared to talk about the other slides I made.
You're right, so state and dash dash state.
That's been outlawed in most states.
Sorry, my debugging on whiteboard is not very good, and I know this is frustrating. I promise this is the worst of the bunch. And guys, like I said, each of these type of fixes I'm talking about, this is what I want you, why going to school to learn all the traits, to understand which one of these things to do and what these things mean is part of the whole job. But I wanted you to get a sampling for the different types of approaches you can take. So unfortunately, this is one of those, I know this is going to feel a little bit like type this really cryptic phrase and that's magic moments. But this is one way to close a port from an attack. See if I actually typed it right. By a small miracle, that worked. I didn't fat finger it too badly. However, if I'm the bad guy, and I know that you just closed port 1099, and I really want this to work, what might I try to do?
Go around it.
Yep. And so that's where you get into working on how you're going to make very complex sets of these rules to block different ports so that, make sure there's no other place where that service could connect into. So it is hard. I do understand that. And unfortunately, I don't have a less bad way to have to type that in. But the main goal of this was to say, IP tables and firewalls. This is what firewalls are doing. They're giving very complex commands to the computer to say, look for types of network traffic at specific places and don't let them through. And so that's one way that you defend your computer against certain types of attacks. Now, another one that we're going to do, it's a little bit more fun, because now we're going to do a few more fun things. Running out of board space. So. Another exploit that we took advantage of was called VSFTP 234 backdoor. So why did it work? This software that we had, some evil hacker put bad code in there. Remember I talked earlier about the routers that had extra things added so they'd phone home to another country? Well, somebody did this to a common piece of software used for file transfer on Linux. They snuck a backdoor in, and then about 2 days later, people found it and closed that vulnerability, and a software update would fix it. So how do I stop it? I would update my software. Now once again, I'm going to do this so that I can't connect Metasploitable to the internet. That's a problem I've got, because Metasploitable is very, very dangerous to connect to the internet. So, up here on Kali, I'm going to teach you a command. And we're going to I've already downloaded patches for this and put them on your Kali boxes. Normally you would get this off the internet, but prepare for this class. I've already put them in there. So, blue is for Kali. And I'm going to make sure I spell this right. VSFTP. Copy. So the reason you might wonder why people even bother with command lines, and the reason is they're very easy to write computer programs to remotely administer computers. That said, they're very cryptic. So what we're going to do is over here in Kali, I gotta log back in, it's Tor. I'm going to bring up another one of these terminal prompts. And I'm going to type SCP, which stands for Secure Copy, tilde / patches capitalized. That's the name of the folder where I put the patches. / BSF TPD -3.0.2.tar.gz. That's a zip file of the patch. So I'm saying copy this file on my computer. The next chunk of text says, where do I want to put it? Well, I want to log in as MSF admin at 10.1.1.2. And I put a colon to say, okay, so I go into that computer. Where do you want it on that computer? Tilde / I'm going to give it a shorter name for us. BSF TPD.tar.gz. I hit return. It's going to ask for a password for MSF admin. That's MSF admin. And I'm done. So I just copied a file from Kali onto Metasploitable. Pretty handy. All right, so now these next ones, there's a lot, but they're not hard to type. So now I'm going to give you what you would, in red, I'm going to show you what you're going to type on Metasploitable. We're going to cd tilde, change directory to that folder where I just copied the file. Then we're going to sudo su, because I really don't want to type my password 6 more times. Now, this is the command for unzipping a file. It's one way. Gun zip space -dc. Now we're going to give the name of the zip file, BSF TPD.tar.gz. Then I'm going to give a pipe. That's tar, again, xvf hyphen. After that, we're going to change directories again.
Hey, Charlie, really quick, just a
Go.
note. People, if you're SSHing for the first time in through this SCP program, you'll get a prompt that says yes/no. You want
Yeah.
to type yes.
Thank you, I forgot about that.
Yeah, I got that too.
So, you did a typo, it's VS, not US. A quick shortcut, if you get partway through the file, this is the MSFT.
What I'm going to take you through are the steps to extract the file. We're actually going to build a new program from computer code. So, over here, and I'm going to find good old Metasploitable again. And I'm going to type the word clear again just to make life easier for me. I'm going to go cd tilde. So I'm going to the home directory. And I'm going to sudo su. And there I am. Root at Metasploitable. Now I'm going to do that unzip command. Gunzip -dc bsftpd.tar.gz pipe tar xvf hyphen. Oh,
Space after that.
space hyphen. Thank you. So, okay, Chris, what am I typing wrong? Get closer. Demo gods are angry.
Yeah.
Well, here's something saying /.
Oh, let me just.
Looking, put it in MSF.
Oh.
Not MSF.
Oh.
So CD/home/MSF.
Yeah. Oh, I was in. Okay. All right, everybody. Say that one more time, Chris.
SU into root,
Yeah.
and
Push
then
the root.
CD / home / MSF admin,
Home / MSF admin.
and you have to do that after you do the SU command.
Yeah. I apologize, folks. You test stuff, but so sudo su. Now I'm root again, and I want to go cd home and MSF admin. Now, once we unzip it, it's called VSFTPD 3.0.2. Once we're there, this is the really cool part about Linux. I'm in a directory full of, at this moment in time, I'm in a directory full of computer code. So this is, I don't remember what language it's in right now, probably C. And I can type the word make, and a lot of stuff flies by. I'm actually creating a computer program right now. And then I'll type make install. And I just made a brand new computer program, and I just installed it onto the computer. For it to work, I need to restart that program. So that's why my next line is /etc/init d/xinetd space restart. And so that restarted that program. So here was an example of how you would fix a problem. So once again, we keep seeing this happen over and over. We had a bad piece of software that got exploited. We've gotten rid of the software a few times. This is one way that you would update it. You would download a new package, and you would build it. So, there's another, so like I said, there's another way to close it. So, the good news is, we're about to get to what I think is the easiest one to close for a change, and it's going to fix, it's the easiest one, and it's going to fix two of our problems. So that's nice. So, the next one we're going to take care of was called user map script. So basically, our computer is running another application called Samba. Samba is really handy because it lets you exchange files between Linux computers and Windows computers. In this case, the program is perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with the software. However, there is a configuration file that some sneaky person modified that said turn on the ability to load in a set of bad users and they can remotely log in, and they'll check your ID and password, and they'll let anybody in the computer. So somebody snuck something in on a configuration file so that good software would act badly. So the good news is these aren't too bad to fix, because all we have to do is edit the file. So this is going to be a lot like typing in Microsoft Word or a notepad. So I'm going to take you through how we do that. So with my screen, so it's a little easier to read. And I'm going to type that command that I had on the slides, sudo nano, N-A-N-O, etc, samba, smb.com. So this is, when you don't have Windows and a mouse, this is what a text editor looks like. This is how you write, this is how you do word processing. Well, down here, you'll see this little caret in a letter. That stands for control plus that letter is this command. So, what's really nice, there's this control W that says where is. So I'm going to do Control W, and I'm going to type mapusers.sh and hit return. And now it automatically jumps to the line that I needed to remove. I knew that line was the bad one, and so I could search for that text and get there quickly. And all you have to do is backspace. And it's gone. Yes, sir. We got yeah. Now, after you delete the line, you hit Control X for exit. And it says, do you want to save it? Yes. Why? Yes, I do. Keep that file name, hit return, and you're done. So, as far as fixes go, that's one of the easier ones you can do. You opened up the Word file, deleted the bad configuration, but you do have to restart the program, because just like the last time, you modify stuff, you're going to need to turn it back on. And let's see, I missed these. So once again, we're going to do sudo /etc, building new software, modifying the configuration files that things take. Now we've got one more problem. And this one, I'm probably going to have you guys just watch, because to get this through in time. And then we're going to launch the attack again on my machine, and we'll see that it didn't work. Then, when you're out of this class, you can try some of this stuff again on your own. And at the beginning of these notes is my email, and I'm willing to entertain 30 to 50 different people emailing me questions about this lab for the next few weeks to months. So, I have lots of spare time. So this next one is another problem of bad software that has had, or good software that's had bad stuff snuck into it. Problem is, this is going to be an example of one that has very low-level tie-ins throughout the computer. So it's going to be a real pain. But IRC is a chat service. In this particular example, we have a pirated version of it put on here. So I'm sure nobody on here can take over your computer, because it's really hard to get people to say, please download my computer virus, but it's pretty easy to get people to please download this free video game that you normally have to pay $60 for. Exactly. So those cracked versions of code normally have viruses and backdoors in them, because it's a great way to trick you into installing their stuff. So on top of the fact that it's wrong to steal, you also will get taken advantage of once you do it. So I'm going to take you through an example where, once again, I have a patent. Pirated music is one of the easiest ways to get access into computers. There's been a few vulnerabilities in Apple QuickTime, plus a few other Windows Media Player and things like that, so that you can take over a machine through that. Because lots and lots of people steal music.
Yeah, if you use BitTorrent to get your music or your games or programs, you've probably already been had.
Yeah.
It's a huge percentage of those applications that have already had something put into them.
So, now, once again, so like the last time, we downloaded software and we're going to make it. So now I'm going to go into that folder. Nice thing with this one is, this program is so complex, they actually built an installer program. So you know how, like when we installed VirtualBox, you double click the file and you got to step through a nice GUI, except this is old school Linux. So you run a file, and your installer is a series of text screenshots. And here's your information. If you ever see a screen like this, you type spacebar to keep moving through. Then it says at 99 or so, whenever Star Office came out. I keep looking to you because I know that you're one of the people I know that will definitely know the answer. So around 99 when that product came out, it was not terribly good, but it was free. Well, you let a few 10,000 computer programmers gripe about why it's not good and then say, hey, you can write some new code to make it better, and it gets a whole lot better. And the package that's out there right now, it's still not quite as nice as Microsoft Office, but it's pretty darn good. It'll do most of what anybody needs. And so, and it's free. So that's kind of the cool thing about open source. Now I've built my new program. One thing I have to do here that is a new bit of cryptic stuff, but I only have 5 minutes, so I'm going to show you real quick. This is a command I use to check some of the communication. Did all this. I'm going to go back to Armitage. What I'm going to do first, there's a commission called sessions -K. I'm killing all of my shells that I had. So I used the Hail Mary and got all those shells before. I just closed them for a minute because now I've hardened the computer. Let's try the Hail Mary again. And so ideally, that window's I'm not gonna win this time. But there's a chance that I could have done all this and still failed. So that's the exciting part. So by this time, last time, we'd already gotten in at least once.
That's pretty reliable.
So we still haven't broken in yet.
What those transient exploits?
So, ta-da! It never turned red. So, what we just did over the last couple hours, we closed all those holes that we used to break in. Now, I know not everybody was able to get it through this time, but part of why I wanted you to have the notes is to have those steps so you can try these tools out and try it again on your own time as well. But that's the whole gig for doing computer security. And ta-da! No active sessions. Aren't we awesome? We just stopped somebody from being able to throw a brick through the most vulnerable computer on the planet. So that's something. People like me can no longer break in. So with that said, we just saw that it worked. So now what else would you do? What I wanted to say, some of you guys have done Cyber Patriot. All I wanted to get across is there are lots of competitions and things. Ms. Davina's CyberWatch webpage for K-12 has lots of cool opportunities. You can keep taking this stuff and do clubs back in your spare time. You love going to college for this type of things. There's scholarships, jobs, and cool things. Please, at the end of March, March 29th, if you can come back here, the Collegiate Cyber Defense Competition is kind of cool to watch. Professional hackers are going to be attacking 8 different college teams, but also there's a whole college recruiting fair there and a bunch of interesting stations so you can learn about neat things. And so, like I said, computer security is really interesting. There's a lot of opportunities, but please, it's fun and good to learn how to do this stuff, but always do it with permission. I do not want anybody going to jail. I hadn't said that for a couple of hours, so I didn't feel right. So that's what I had to say. So I know it was a lot, but thank you guys for sitting through this. I know it's rough.